got back from vacation, and it was an epic vacation. Did
Brian,
you love it or did you hate it?
Oh my goodness. First of all, I was coming out of a dark place. And our first stop, so we made 3 quick stops. We went to California and made 3 quick stops, different places.
Mountains
Beach,
and
Disneyland. Oh, don't do that. That was some of my kids' favorite.
It was my kid's favorite too.
You're done.
If I don't ever go back,
You said that a few years ago, and we've been back. So anyway.
And I was sad that I went
Oh
back.
my goodness. So I still was feeling like I wasn't quite leveled off emotionally. So there's that. And I don't tend to, how do you say that word? Chagrin. Chagrin. Does that mean like much to?
Much to my chagrin.
And what would you mean? Because I want to use that word so bad.
It's kind of like
Frustration.
incredulous.
So much to Brian's chagrin, I don't help plan the vacation. Mm-hmm. Is that the right way to use the word?
Yeah.
Love that word. Okay. So much to his chagrin, I didn't help plan the vacation other than like sitting in the room while we'd be on Zoom calls. You and Whit, Brian and I, like, do we agree on this house to stay at? Do we agree on or this hotel or this motel or this or that? So I'm listening, but you get us planning. We're a lot of headstrong personalities. Mm-hmm. And I don't usually want to go to any of the places because I'm kind of a stick in the mud. Mm-hmm. So I don't vote. I don't vote on the places. I just go, once I get there, it's going to be fine. So don't worry about it. So the places are voted on kind of without me intentionally. Brian doesn't love that, but intentionally. So our first stop is Yosemite National Park. So it is beautiful.
Which we left on Sunday, and on Wednesday night, Whit and I are going to bed, and we get an email that says our house reservation has been canceled, which we made this reservation 9-10 months before.
Yeah, because if you go to a national park, just in case anybody wants to go to a national park, you have to plan about a year out to get any kind of lodging anywhere, no matter your price point.
Yeah. And so imagine that Yosemite is inside of a big circle. Yosemite Valley, where most of the hikes are and everything, are inside a big circle. There's 2 ways into this circle.
I've got to pause 1 second. Yeah. You said where most of the hikes are, and you got me at hikes because I didn't hear that word necessarily in the planning. Carry on.
What did you think we would do in the mountains?
I thought we would just look. I just thought we'd look and see the
You have to get
beauty.
to the top to look out.
I just thought we'd see the beauty. We did. Oh, did we?
Oh, did we?
I'm sorry, go ahead about the valley circle housing.
There's 2 ways in to Yosemite, and you have to get through these little guard shacks to get into Yosemite Park. And if you stay outside of the circle, you're driving a minimum of an hour to get to Yosemite Valley, where the majority of the hikes are and the things that you want to look at.
Which is why I said you plan a year out. It's because you want to be, if you're going to go to California and you live in Oklahoma, you want to be close enough where you're really getting to make the most of every day. Because, I mean, who can be there forever? None of us. But
None of us. As much as we'd love to.
I had to go to Israel. Anyway, so
So they canceled. We had a house booked, a VRBO, inside Yosemite Park. Mm-hmm. So when it still was a 20-minute drive to the valley, but we had a house booked, and they canceled our reservation. They're like, we can put you
on Wednesday,
and we leave on Sunday. They're like, we can put you out here at this lake that's an hour away, and you outside the circle, or we'll give you a full refund. And I couldn't believe it. We found a house inside the circle.
Less money.
Perfect. There was no Wi-Fi.
Perfect.
And there was no hot tub, which was a bummer for the kids, because the kids like to get out.
But the no Wi-Fi, I was just like telling my kids on the way to the airport. So when we get there, we're not going to have Wi-Fi for the first little part of our trip. What?
It was,
I
loved
fantastic.
it. I loved it.
It was. It really was.
So we got that was a miracle that we got a house for less money.
Yeah.
2 days before we
2 days before
left.
We went on this vacation. So what did I think about the trip is where you started with that. And I just have already alluded to the fact that I just didn't realize, like, I thought we were going to go hiking, like, I don't know, like hiking through my neighborhood. like walking around the block
I
or
know,
something.
but-
I was just thinking, so I am not an outdoorsy person. So it has hit the temperature in Tulsa. Like I would be fine to go from air conditioned building to air conditioned building until October. Hot, sweaty. Ugh. Nature doesn't invigorate me like it does Brian and it does Whit. I don't know about you. I just heard a lot about they liked it so much,
Yeah.
which is great. So I did think it's beautiful, but I thought more of like sitting on a lounge chair and taking in the beauty while reading a book. But it turns out our first day, you said, we're going to do the most difficult hike today. So if anybody gets burnt out, we're done. I was like, oh, great idea.
So
Great
you don't-
idea.
Yeah. So do the hardest hike first. And then after that, you're like, compared to yesterday, this is easy. Let's go, kids.
So I work out 3 or 4 times a week. I'm middle-aged, so I mean, you can't always tell that I work out, but I do. I'm definitely in good cardiovascular shape. This should be a breeze. So Brian's like, it's pretty difficult. And I was like, fine.
It's did we do 13 miles?
Yes.
Yeah, it was a 7 to 8 hour round trip hike. And it's the hardest hike. It's listed as strenuous. And towards the end, I almost was crawling.
Yes.
Because
and then
my calf muscles were like, no, I will not step another step.
I heard some I will say, you get to the very top and there's a beautiful waterfall, icy cold water. The kids were brave enough to get in the water and I'm like dangling my feet and it was breathtaking. But you're only halfway done.
Because you have to go back.
Because you have to go back. And I heard when we were almost to the top, I heard this very fit 25 to 30-year-old man with his wife or girlfriend going down, going, oh man, I hate this part. Going down's the worst. And I was like,
You mean we're not
What?
taking barrels over the waterfall? And
well, I was just thinking like it's so cardiovascularly it was easier, but I don't have great knees and going down. I remember on the way up being so frustrated with Brian, this mountain man, outdoorsy, like you never let the weakest hiker at the last because if something happens, nobody will know. So he's going behind me because I'm the weakest. So he loves this kind of stuff and he could be zipping up this mountain, but he's going to go nice and slow because his wife can't make it up the mountain. And I was like, I'm having more fun with you in front of me. And he's just like, that's not how this works. Like you always have somebody at the back making sure the whole family makes it up. And Eleanor's with Whit like 75% of the way up. And I'm like, so my 8-year-old zipped up. My teenagers are up. Teenagers are sending pictures from the top of the mountain where we're like, they're too close to the edge.
I know. Elliot sent a video, and he just like slides his phone over the edge of this huge cliff. And I'm like,
Get off the edge. But it was a memory that will last the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I will say on the way down, it was where I was like, Brian, this is the part where I feel like it'd be better if you're behind me in case I die on the way down. But we all, not 12 because Lucy and Fran were not with us yet, but all 10 of us made it the whole way.
Yeah.
Including all the little girls. It was a memory that I will remember forever and ever and ever.
We went and got dinner in the cafeteria after the hike, and we're all just like, I could hardly stand. Everything I can find to lean on. It's still taking all my willpower to stay on my feet and
Legs are just kinda
stay
shaky.
stay in line. It's like I feel like I've been beaten with rods.
Oh my goodness.
And on the way down, it's getting kind of dark because the sun goes behind
Because it was
the
like an
mountain.
8-hour trip.
Yeah, the sun's going behind the mountain. It's in shadow, so it feels probably later than it actually is.
Yeah.
But there's people that are starting to go up, and I just want to stop every single one of them and say, are you crazy? You will never make it.
There were people going up when it was, almost dark and without water. And just like, I'm now an experienced hiker. And I need to tell you guys.
I can give you advice and
You
say
need to turn
you're
around.
never going to make it.
I'm now an experienced hiker. Yeah, so what did I think about our vacation? It was amazing.
Yosemite, did it do anything for your heart and your spirit and your mental state?
Oh, that's a great question. I still had a day where I woke up just off. And if you're not sure you want to go hiking and you feel a little off, you can have a real crappy attitude. So there was a day I woke up and I still felt off. But I really think that God does stuff like this. Like there is like being outdoors and being in fresh air and being. So I knew I couldn't stay because Brian's like, you don't have to hike today. Don't do it. And instead of just being like, oh, thank you, I think I'm going to go anyway, I was just like, don't tell me what to do. But just kept going. And I do think that it was a good start to the trip. So that was good. I feel like I progressively got better as the trip went on.
I feel like you did too.
My mental health, I feel like I just was like living my best life. Yeah, by the end of the trip, I was just like, I'm living my best life.
The hard part about the trip for me was I can see that you're off.
Sure.
But
I'm
the
so
kids,
cute. You give it a pass?
No, I'm not. The kids are around, it's kind of like there wasn't time to sit and say, how's your heart today?
Right. Yeah. Which was probably better for me.
Really?
Yeah. Although Whit did ask me one night at dinner when it was just the four of us.
Yeah.
Which was good.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's good. A lot of things about that little portion of our trip, I just think when I'm thinking that we decided to record this summer so we could talk about surviving summer, and some of it's hilarious and some of it's hard. And my kids found out some bad news while we were out of town. I think one of your kids found out some bad news while we were out of town. And it was good to be in community together. Because bad news will come and life comes and life happens and times are hard sometimes because you're living in a broken and fallen world. But there's something almost helpful to, like, if we would have been in Tulsa, you would have sat down with me and asked. But it didn't work, like you said, all the kids around and all that. But there's still something so healing about all of that, all the meshing of families and community. Because what my kids' bad news wasn't the same as your kids. And nobody's really openly talking because they're things that are hurtful and painful to your heart. So no one's really talking about those. But instead, it's just like, let's press a reset. We're going to go hike again. Let's just keep moving and keep doing life together. And that was healing, I think, for all of us.
Yeah. I have this gift
that keeps on giving.
Yeah. And sometimes it can be a little bit much, but if you just let me have my way, it's better for everybody. And
share what your gift is.
My gift is I am a maximizer.
You are.
And you tell me that you want to go do something fun, and I will get the most fun out of whatever event you're planning. Like, I can do it. And so when we get to
it is a gift.
But when
honestly,
when I get to the end of a vacation, I start thinking I have got to. It's like juicing an orange. Like, I'm going to get every last bit of juice out of this thing.
Not even the end of a vacation. It could be the end of a day, Heather. Because
it could be the end of a day.
When we were leaving Yosemite to go on to our next stop, you almost stopped on that day. We were going to go ahead. You almost stopped and did one last hike.
Yeah.
We had hiked our hearts
we were
out.
driving right by a horseback riding place, and guys, just let's take a 2-hour pause, jump on these horses, and see some more stuff. And it's totally reasonable to me that yes, we would do that.
Of course you would,
because we'll have extra time. We have extra time.
And
at the
I'm
end
a
of the day.
killjoy, and I'm thinking, don't you remember 2 years ago on vacation, Brian got kicked by a horse? Jobs aren't going on the horses. Which
come
Brian was
on,
like,
it'll
I'll
be
go.
fun.
Yeah, Brian is a little bit more like you. He's like, okay, I guess we can ride horses. And
I'm just like, why are we driving by this opportunity? And sometimes it feels a little panicky almost of, you're going to pass this up? You're crazy, So we get to Disneyland and I'm like, I am here.
It's the end of the
We are
trip.
riding every single ride. And that last day in the park.
it's worth being noted that some of your kids like rides and some of them don't.
That's true.
So when you start saying, we are riding every ride, even inside of me, I get a little angst. Like, oh,
And I'm like, come on, just try it one time. And then
you're not going to know if you like it unless you ride it.
come on, I'll pay you $1 million. Get on this ride. But I'm like, our last day in the park, I'm like, guys, I feel like I might stay till midnight tonight, just because we have to get up and catch a flight in the morning. But what the heck? We're here. Let's do it. Anyway, everybody's tired, and I get to be a little bit too much. And But then I get irritated because you're wasting your time. What are you doing? Why are you standing in this line? Let's go do this. And so that's where Whit's like, you're pushing too hard. We might just want to wander around the park and not do anything. And
This was dinner the last night. You're correct. It was dinner because it probably in part was what he was saying, but he was also saying it where we could hear it. And it's just one of those marital situations where it's just like, I mean, he's lovingly correcting you or offering you an alternative way to view the situation. But Brian and I are just sitting there and then we're looking at each other instead of looking at you. And we're like, but I do want to see what she's going to say. And I'm like, I mean, she knows we can hear. We may as well watch. It's watching.
well, part of it is Whit, and he talked about it at church this weekend. If you want to go back and listen, he was partly talking about himself of wanting. You see a situation happening and you can see that it needs to be fixed.
Sure.
And you're just going to offer how to fix it.
Yeah.
And I really don't want to hear about how you think I should fix this and tell me how to live my life. And
How to live my life. It was a much smaller fix than that, but okay. Yeah.
well, it felt like a lot.
Right.
It had been 2
Right.
weeks.
Right.
And it was time to be done.
Well,
Which I need to work on that because I sometimes end a vacation with regret, like we didn't do enough. And then it comes out in negative ways.
that is so fascinating to hear. Well, but that's one of the reasons I vacation with you.
Because
You're a maximizer.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not going to say yes to everything you suggest because I'm lazy.
But I'll give you 10 different options.
But
We can have fun in this moment.
We're going to have fun. The option to not have fun was not one of the 75 on the table. So, yeah, that's why I vacation with you.
Yeah.
I'm going to do things I wouldn't otherwise do, and I'm going to have fun that I would never set myself up for. I had never been to Disneyland, and we weren't there very long at all, but I have such a weird age gap with kids. You just have a lot of kids. I have a weird age gap. So I've got 17, 15, and then 8. And so that's a lot of, and one of the reasons we did a few quick hits in California was because between the two of us, that is 7 children ranging in age from 8 to 20. And
So we have to plan something that's going to make everybody
you want everyone to
happy.
have a family memory that they really enjoyed. And when you do a few different little things like that, you get it all. But Disneyland was our last stop. And, Eleanor, she was getting up to be there at rope drop before the park opens and all those things, which means she is exhausted at 6 in the evening, but she's pushing it until 7, which means we get back to the hotel and she needs to go to bed by 8 or 9. And my teenagers are just like down at the parks till midnight. And, it was wonderful to have the ability to
Just
everybody
set them
kinda-
loose.
Yes.
And, go have fun.
Just do whatever you want at Disneyland. We did stuff as a family in the morning and then afternoons and evenings. It was just like, whatever you guys want to do, go for it. This episode should probably be ending, but I will at least tell this story and we can end on this. Your son, Fran, is hilarious.
Yeah.
I mean, we all know he's hilarious, but the teenagers, and he's not a teenager. Is he
He's
20?
not. He's 20. That's another thing that happened started this summer is he turned 20.
Oh my goodness. So the teenagers and Fran would be at the parks and he would see people taking pictures or like a group selfie or whatever, or maybe they weren't taking, he would see people taking pictures and he would go in and say, hey, let's do a group selfie, hold his phone up, get in the picture and take a picture with these random people. I mean, they started a photo stream and there's like 85 pictures on it.
Yeah.
And I mean, like one is this group of ladies with these Momcation shirts on. It's just Fran and the Momcation moms, like group. And then he got my boys start getting in the pictures, and they have all these pictures. Cooper got a picture taken by some person that had a stuffed animal. That was like a teenager or maybe 20s. It was holding a stuffed animal and just like, hey, on a ride. Hey, could you hold this real quick? And just hands it off where there's nothing you can, like you're holding their stuffed animal. And Cooper's like, it's very strange. Like, you're just like, yeah. And then they're like, quick, smile. And they snap a picture and they post it on Instagram or whatever. He's like, it was really bizarre. But he said he talked to me the whole ride and asked me for my Instagram handle. So at least I got to see the picture. I mean, but they're just riding rides and staying and just being
crazy.
crazy. I was going to say kids, but Fran's 20. Just being crazy,
He's a
fun.
kid. He is still a kid.
That it's just, it's fun to have our families together.
It is.
So,
yeah.
do we have any idea what we might talk about next week?
I think we should talk about what happened last Wednesday.
Oh my goodness. So I was going to bed and I had my phone and I got a notification. At first I thought it might be spam, like you paid your AT&T bill, click on here and win your free prize. And you just go, oh my gosh, they're trying to steal all my passwords. But I got a notification and I didn't even really know if it was real or not. But it said it was a text and it said it was from Life 360, which is that app you put on your phone where you can see where your family members are or what have you. And it said, your family member may have been in a collision. You need to contact them.
Mm-hmm.
And so I made a phone call and there was no answer. So we don't have time to
Heart
talk about
sinks.
it.
My heart is sinking.
yeah.
I know how this story
Yeah.
turns out, and
Yeah.
even now my heart is sinking. But
Yeah. So there was no answer, which means, in fact, you're looking at the text going, this isn't spam, but what do I do?
Yeah.
Do you go to the location, last known location on Life 360, or do you wait for a call, or I had a kid
Yeah.
run downstairs, one of my kids, and said, did you just get this notification? So everybody takes a deep breath and you just kind of wait it out for a minute.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that next week, though. So if you want to survive summer with us, we're just surviving. Let's be honest.
We're scheduling this time to escape.
Yes, to escape. So we're going to be here whether you come along with us or not, but we sure hope you come with us. You need an escape once a week as well. So join us next week for Surviving Summer on Life in Motion. Have a great week.